We're installing this off-the-line Performance Street Series catback to get some more volume, but first let's unbox it and show you each piece up close. Wow, look at that. The packaging for the OTL Catback is really impressive. You've got compartments for everything. We've got the black labeled exhaust tip, different sections of 304 stainless piping. Jay threw us in some shirts. A little 22 BGC type beat. Got the 86T Grayson, one of their techs with a beard. Got the comfy gray OTL tee. But if we look in here, this is where the goodies are. We got our valve, 4-way, so it can go fully open, fully closed, and then be steps to open like halfway. Kind of cool, not very common. Here's the mufflers. We have some boxes to open before we look at the exhaust system up close. There's one of our exhaust tips. So you got like the neochrome, the black, and the stainless polished, whatever you want to call it. The black valence on this car I feel like works well with black exhaust tips. I'm not usually a fan of black exhaust tips, but because it has 3 exhaust tips, it gets kind of hectic when you have a bright color. For my type of styling, you might feel the total opposite and you love the flex that you have 3 exhaust tips and you want something bright. I opted for the more subtle because even when everything's all black and matches, it still is like very distracting. So that's why I chose black, and that was my thought process. See, I mean, these things are huge for the outside ones. Not very often you see something like this. Talking to Parker about it, I'm calling this one the shop vac. Carpet cleaner? Nah, but check out this center exhaust tip. Fits in with the bumper, the shape of it. It's interesting. It looks nice, all in black for this bumper. When you have this in a bright color, it does pop really hard like I was saying. But if you look, there's kind of this like bronzy black finish. Looks really high quality, I like it. It could just be like a flat black or gloss black. It's got some depth and some different color to it, which is cool. Should have the rest of the hardware. This system does work with a aftermarket downpipe or your factory one. We got some wiring. We've got our hangers, which is cool, aftermarket. We've got our mounting bracket for our valve in one of these little packages. You've got a remote. A, B, C, D. This will be our controller. You can leave this in the glove box. This is the brains and receiver for it. So when you press this button, it talks to this. Just in case they didn't go far enough, they give you a backup remote. Not only 1, but 2, just like 2 pairs of keys. We've got these tiny little batteries for each that it includes, which is nice. For the main portion of the exhaust, you got your 2 mufflers, you got your valve here. Now with 3 exits, I had to look inside and think about this. Their valve here stays closed to force the air through the outside ones to go through the mufflers, and then when you want it as loud as possible, you can open this valve and the air will go with the path of least resistance and just go straight out the middle and basically be like a straight pipe scenario. So you have the best of both worlds. You not only have 1 but 2 mufflers. These 2 will do a lot for the volume level, so that's pretty cool. And I understand now why they put a remote like this to have an ABCD to define how much sound you want. This is really cool. So this valve, you know, is closed. It's gonna force air through here. The more you open it, the more it's gonna force air through here and out, and then all the way open. It just all goes throughout the middle, so you don't have any muffle. So I was like, why would they have a 25% position of this valve being open? It seems like you just want it open or closed. By the nature of having 3 as an option, that's kind of a perk. So if you wanted it, you know, 25% louder, just open that valve a little bit. It lets a little bit of air out the center where there's no muffling, and then this other portion of the, you know, air flows through the mufflers. I'm excited to hear this, excited to check out this feature, show this off, and see what it sounds like. Maybe 3 exhaust tips is kind of a move for something like this. OTL has all the details on these products, even these embossed logos on the mufflers. So when you look under the car, you'll see this. Pretty fancy. I want to take a second to address maybe a question top of mind before you purchase this is, what's the philosophy behind stock exhaust or the modified? The stock exhaust, like, you can tell the car is a GR. You can tell it is a enthusiast platform. It does have a nice sound. Anyone that is not privy to cars will think it's pretty cool and sound cool. But, you know, if you're craving to like have a modified car, I don't think it's enough to want to leave it. With the OTL setup, it's plenty quiet, also plenty loud. You have a lot of resonance in the cab, a lot more vibration in a good way. So I would say if you're on the fence, like, hey, I really love this, I don't need too much more. It's kind of a weird car how it goes from like solid to a lot more noise with just a catback. Usually you need a full turbo back to do this, so just be aware. You might be in your 50s, your 40s, and think, man, this car's great. A little bit more volume would be cool. I don't know, you might just like it how it is better, but just keep that in mind. If you're like myself, under 30, I can almost guarantee you're gonna like this more. So just for the older folks out there, if your ears are sensitive or whatever, maybe this is your daily, the stock setup's not terrible, but the tone and everything is a lot deeper with this, and I really like it. You can do this on the ground. Don't let the lift distract you. Jack stands, jack. We film videos all the time, so don't let that take away from your motivation. The first thing you're gonna do when you get underneath it, you might be on the ground, is we're gonna disconnect the wire and the plug and make sure we don't yank this cable. There's a plastic retaining clip for the wiring to keep it real clean, so I'm gonna get a flathead in here and just try and help it pry out of there. This isn't my preferred tool, but it helps assist. So now you can see this clip right here I just pulled out is what was on the actual exhaust. So we're not gonna pull any wiring now, so that's good. We're gonna go to the front and work our way back. We have a 14mm bolt on each side of the exhaust. Ratcheting wrench is good for this. The other side is welded, so you only need one side of it. Let's speed up time, shall we? Amazon list in the description, a bunch of tools. This is a exhaust hanger removal tool if you're new to the channel. This is one of my best friends and should be yours too. It'll push an exhaust right out. That way you don't have to fight it. Okay, now we're hanging. Okay, so I'm just kind of manhandling this one on the side, just pulling it off. Not the lower ones, but the one that's actually on the car. So I'm gonna leave the hanger on the exhaust. Okay, so that one's off. Okay, I'm just gonna put my thumbs on the center and pull back and wiggle it. As you can see, I have this pull jack down here supporting it. You might have to let that hit the ground or have a buddy help you. Now the only thing holding it up is the center mount, which is a lot of weight on that. So we should get Parker to help with this. So I'm gonna support the whole muffler section. Using my tool, I popped it off. Now I'm just gonna slide this hanger off, and then I'm gonna have all the weight in my hands. I'm gonna use the tool the rest of the way. Free. It's actually a lightweight factory exhaust.
We need to get this off.
Oh yeah, we need to get the controller off. We're gonna go to the factory valve. We're gonna keep this intact and install it back on the car with the bracket that they provide so it doesn't throw a check engine light. We have a 10mm, there's 3 of them. You can pull these off easily. Pull this off. Here's our nice bracket with our hardware. Jay, who films their YouTube videos, has grandparents that live near me here in Phoenix. They're in Iowa, their shop, and I actually got to go golfing with him. He's an insanely good golfer and all around just super fun dude that I have a lot in common with. I got to hear the story about Off the Line and them getting into selling parts, and they have a bunch of products and stuff, but I'm really excited for their trajectory and everything they're doing, and yeah, just good dudes. We have this plate where the center hanger goes. We're just gonna take out these two 12 mils. Once you have the bracket off, you're gonna slide it through, and then we can put it back in the car. Just like that, that stock one's mounted. There will be a wire going to it. The next step, I'm gonna take, there's only one way these wires go, and plug in my new harness, clip it into the factory one, and then let this dangle. This piece has 3M on it. It's gonna go up in here on the bash bar. It'll just sit right there. Isopropyl alcohol, water, whatever you got, where I plan on mounting it. I'm just gonna wipe it off. Sticking this up here on the bash bar, nice and sturdy. Came with a long zip tie. That was nice of them. This is just an extra precaution, kind of overkill, but I like it. Okay, that's lined up. That ain't going nowhere. Get the flush cutters. Leave a little bit in case I need to grab onto it later. I'm gonna grab one of my exhaust hangers. So I'm gonna slide one of these new ones on there in advance. Big long straight piece. Bolts, factory bolts. 2 supplied bolts with nuts. You only need the nuts if you're doing the aftermarket downpipe, so we're gonna take these off. And then we're gonna slide, bolt through, threads into the factory mount. Thread that in by hand. Okay, so that's loose, we want that. So you just play with it, figure out the orientation. If you think about the centerpiece right here, it's real obvious. Grab one of the clamps in advance. Now we're gonna slide this on. All the way, that looks good. We can twist it, kind of how it would go hypothetically. Before we get any further, I want to get this OEM hanger off. My best friend right here. Silicone lubricant from Blaster. Spray these holes. Man, those are firm. Grab your muffler section. Make sure you have your clamp. Now I'm gonna lift this up into place. Slide it into the pipe. That fits really nice. And then push this through. Thank the Lord I lubed it. Oh yeah. That's best case scenario. Let's get the other mounts on. Like, this is really firm for not having any clamps tight. That's crazy. That's really nice. Okay. Before we get any further, let's plug everything in. So we got the little guy here. That's gonna go on our new black one. The big gray one. It's gonna go into the factory. And the little black one, that just clips in nice and firm. Do not fear, we will have the exhaust tip to cover. So now we need to decide how we wanna tuck this. If you go too high, it's gonna hit the sway bar. So I'm gonna leave a little bit of space so that when it flexes and everything, it's good. This is level right here, so then we know that we're good. So I'm gonna start tightening it from the front and make my way back. These ones you wanna do side to side. Just watch if they're level. Doesn't need to be crazy tight, just snug. Then these are 15, I believe. Yeah. Good. Let's do the center one first. One of them's bigger. Had to loosen it a smidge. Still a 15. I think it's gonna pull it straight, but I'm gonna hammer the top with my hand a little bit so it's as flush with the bumper as possible. I like where it's at right now. Then I can orientate this. Kind of support it. That's going nowhere. And that is centered. Okay. Prep the next one. Something I wish I would have done on the other side. Spray a little WD-40 ever so slightly right here. It's gonna help slide it on a lot easier so I can pick my fitment. Pro tip, because the fitment is so tight and good so far, this is a good problem to have. A little bit of WD on the inside of the tip so I can just, I'm doing my readjustment. I'm looking at the top. I'm gonna tilt it in just a smidge to match the valence like Jay talked about. This goes on so much smoother. I really want this to fit flush against the valence, so I'm gonna apply pressure here. You can use a floor jack or anything for that matter. Get that there. I'm gonna loosen everything. Like, that had a lot of tension on it, so I hope that relieves it. But I'm gonna start back here. That should hold that there. Let's see if that helps. It's definitely better, but it's gonna look better once it's on the ground. That gap is a lot smaller than it was. That'll work. These wires I'm not worried about. Those are good. Is that it? You get to start it? We need to talk about the remote for the valve, and it comes with some supplied batteries. Odd size battery, but they give you the ones you need. I have a little eyeglass screwdriver. You need something tiny to get in here. Take out these 3 on a towel so these things don't run away from you. And then you have the slot for the battery. This thing's kind of fragile, so be careful. Slide it in there, make sure it's flat, pop the cover back on, put your screws back in, turn it over, press the buttons, make sure it lights up, and then you know you're good to go. For the fun part, these 3 cylinders don't make the coolest sound in the world, but they do have like a pleasant sound in the cab. I've never really liked a car more on the inside than I do on the outside. First for me. When you're driving it, it has a nice tone. The drivetrain has a nice sound to it. Reminds me of like a Hawkeye, blah by a STI. Feels very mechanical, sounds very mechanical for a new car especially, but the exhaust note is interesting, to say the least. Barely louder than stock first glance, but you have A and B. Hey, you can hear it open up. That's a nice valve. You can hear that thing. It's very punctual. Sometimes these actuators are kind of like wimpy, so I can move it a little bit. I want to look at it. If I tap the small buttons, it'll move it a little bit at a time. Rev it a little bit. What do you think about it back there?
She sounds good open.
It does sound a lot better in person.
Sounds way beefier.
I feel like in videos it doesn't get the depth of the tone at all.
Yeah.
Like it sounds so high pitched in videos right now. I'm like, wait, it does sound good. It sounds good.
It has like a lot of brap in it.
Yeah. It's like it reminds me of a tone of like a RX-7, like a rotary.
Yeah.
Like it has that slight brappy like kind of tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like when you put a new exhaust on a dirt bike, if anyone knows what that sounds like, it's just dip.
Like it's real smooth with the valve closed and you open it. Yeah, that's cool. Let's go drive it. Yo, wait till we have the downpipe on.
Dude, I know, it's gonna sound nasty.
It's a lot louder with just a catback. That's nice. It's not usually like that. This car has personality now. Valve is closed.
Can you tell in the throttle?
Yeah.
Bro, this car. Dude,
that's valve closed.
Already has way more personality. It feels like you're actually driving a sports car.
Yeah, with the mufflers right now, like if you dog the RPMs real low, like it's not a lot louder. It's definitely louder, and it's very noticeable.
It like looked like a sports car, but it didn't like feel like it when you're driving it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And when people say drone, they always use it in a negative connotation. You do need a little bit at certain tones to make the car feel modified, and like so you can feel the personality. So as soon as you open that valve, you get some resonance in here, and it makes it more fun. It feels less restricted for sure. I like it.
Yeah, I do too.
If you like making your car louder, you're gonna like making your turbo louder even more. So make sure you check out the K&N intake for this car. Should make the car pretty rowdy. I'll leave it right here. We'll see you over there.